What happens if you go into labour, go in to have a baby, and there is no support to look after your other children? Firstly, I want to send you a huge amount of virtual support, and not having support around you who can look after your other children is incredibly difficult. It's a really challenging place to be. As a very first point, I want you to have this conversation with your community midwife, because they may have local resources or support services that they may be able to offer you in your local area. For example, there might be local resources where there are people who are DBS trained in terms of like childcare, for example, emergency childcare. There might be local resource groups, places like Home Start, that may be willing to be able to step in and provide that support potentially. If you do have a partner and that partner is around, they could be the one to stay at home, and it might be that your midwife could signpost you to local doula services who can provide that support in labour to you. And if it is that you have a partner, in terms of relationship partner, for example, it might be that you consider a home birth, but with the caveat in the back of your mind that if a transfer in is required for medical purposes, that you may be transferring in on your own without your partner and your child there. It's a really challenging place to be. The last case scenario is that sometimes we can liaise with social services, and social services can provide emergency support to parents where there is absolutely no childcare to be able to look after that other child. Again, it's ideally done in advance. It's not to remove children. It's not done from a child protection perspective in the slightest. It's done as a support service where there might be the option of sort of emergency foster care, for example, just while a woman goes in to have their baby, and so that their child is looked after for that time. And then the moment that baby is born, they can all then be brought back together as a family unit. It's incredibly rare to reach that stage though, because most people have a good trusting neighbour, a friend, a family member, or a relationship partner who can usually step in. I have had women who have come in labour on their own. Their birth partner has dropped them off, gone to look after their child. They've maybe sat in a car, maybe gone down to the restaurant, maybe been downstairs, and the moment baby's born, they've both come up, for example. Or they have chosen a home birth where that partner can be up and down the stairs, looking after the other child, popping back to support mum in labour, for example, and popping back upstairs to see to the child's needs. I remember having a family years and years ago whereby they had no childcare support at all. And what we managed to do, because we had a fairly empty, quiet birthing unit at that stage, we managed to put the child in the parenting room with the partner, which was only 2 doors down from where she was in labour. And we managed to have a support worker who was there basically being that birthing support, that doula type support in labour the whole way through. And the moment she had a baby, both the partner and the child then came in at that stage. And that worked really well for that particular family. However, I just want to caveat that was a very unusual night. There was enough staff to be able to provide that for them. And it was a complete surprise because their childcare was actually out of the country. So they had planned for childcare. They were meant to have childcare. They'd gone into labour a little bit sooner than they'd anticipated and imagined. And so they had no one at that stage. And that was a very individual thing. But it was where the birthing partner, the relationship partner, looked after that child whilst we did all that support as midwives, but also as support workers, so that there was continual support in labour for that person. If you have absolutely nobody, you know that you've got nobody, please speak up to your community midwife really early on. Ask what support might be available, that these plans can be made ahead of time, because that is so vital for getting you and your child the right support. And in terms of a home birth, sometimes those other children are actually present and there for the birth. And that's a very personal preference if that is the case. In a hospital, it's a little bit more different. You've also got to think about the dynamics, particularly in, say, a big obstetric unit or a labour ward, where there is a lot going on, there's a lot of equipment. It's a very unfamiliar environment. There are lots of things and sounds and buzzes where that stress and that noise and everything that's going on, the hustle and bustle of hospitals, can potentially put extra stresses on a child or baby, for example, compared to being at a home where that child or that baby can be back and forth to their other rooms in their own familiar, comfortable surroundings. I hope when you do have your baby that you have the support that you really need to look after your current child.